The bigger they are, the harder they fall. During an interview with Bret Baier, Governor JB Ribs tried defending his insane anti-ICE stance by claiming that agents are just a bunch of racists.
They aren't acting like law enforcement should act. They're instead literally racially profiling, literally grabbing people, tackling them when they're U.S. citizens and have done zero
You've
wrong.
referred to ICE as Kristi Noem's thugs. Would you be willing to do a ride-along with ICE in Chicago to get a better understanding about what they do and what they deal with?
I can see what they do on the streets of Chicago.
But eventually, JB wasn't able to squeeze his way out of admitting that Trump has actually done an amazing job at the border.
Since President Trump has taken office, we don't have the problem that existed before with people coming across the border. What I would suggest, though, is there's one more thing he could have done. He could have proposed comprehensive immigration reform and gotten it passed.
Failed former mayor Lori Lightfoot is backing up JB back, spearheading a new project to track and unmask ICE agents by posting videos of them to a new online site. But the Trump administration has had it with the radical Democrats threatening law enforcement. Attorney General Pam Bondi putting Lightfoot and Pritzker on notice with the threat of potential investigations.
If you are telling people to arrest our ICE officers, our federal agents, you cannot do that. You're impeding an investigation, and we will charge them if they think they have not met me, because we will charge them if they are violating the law. We will protect our federal agents. The camera should
Emily, so these letters go out to these politicians. That means like one more step and you could be under investigation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think thus far they've been living in a world free of consequences because they're doing it for clicks and they're doing it for their followers and not actually the constituents. And they're not doing it as public agents and arms of the same body that these agents are a part of. I thought it was frankly despicable when the governor was asked, do you want to do a ride-along? And he had the audacity to not even say yes and not mean it, and just, oh, I know, I see on air. And he commented earlier as he called them racist, and Bret Baier called him on, tell me about the evidence. And he said, I've seen those videos. I've seen the videos on the internet. What exactly are you talking about? How can you glean racial profiling from whatever TikTok account you're enjoying while you're not doing your exercise? To me, it's absolutely beneath the governor of a state like that to come on with that smugness and sort of dabble in his split screen politics, right? I mean, this is why the GOP owns competence and conviction, because we have him speaking out of one side of his mouth, admitting that border crossings have fallen of illegal immigrants, admitting that under the Trump administration things work. And then he's also demonizing and vilifying law enforcement agents and thinking that that's going to propel him to the Oval Office. I mean, it's not just hypocrisy, it is strategic incoherence. And I think he thinks right now that he's dancing on this tightrope like the hippos with the tutus. But at the end of the day, he's going to lose the independent voters that want to seek competence and want to see thoughtful analysis of this law enforcement conundrum they have there. And he's going to lose all the moderates in the middle that say, you know what? Crime is decreasing. So he can go ahead and keep virtue signaling to that far, far left small group. But that's not going to win him elections. And it's not going to win the constituents' safety.
The hippo with the tutu, Kennedy, he's running for president.
Sexy.
Do you think, going on Bret Baier is kind of like a test, do you think he passed that test?
No, I don't think he passed that test. And I thought Bret did a very effective job of coming in stealthily and painting him into a corner with his own words, which is, it's frankly good journalism, because JB Pritzker is the kind of guy that you don't have to beat on the head with a baseball bat because he's done it himself. And, just simply asking him questions like, would you do a ride-along? Emily's absolutely right about that. There's only one right answer there, because it just goes to show he doesn't like law enforcement. And it would probably be better for his city if he could have an experience from within and be able to tell people, this is what I saw, this is what I liked, this is what is not working. That's what a leader does. And, he could also probably win a few points with his own police departments in the state, who, they're crestfallen. They have been beaten into submission the way they have been in Portland and LA and everywhere else. And, it's like they get sat on enough by their giant bully of a governor.
The hippo with the tutu. Yeah. And that hippo's worth a lot of money, right? What is he worth? A couple bill? He doesn't care about much. He bought the office, and who cares what happens to the city?
I give him credit for finally coming on Fox. He should probably do more of that so people can hear what he really has to say. The point or the part of the interview we decided to give advice to Donald Trump after crediting him for his policies is pretty rich, considering his party was in denial that the borders were open under the entire Biden presidency. In fact, the DHS secretary and almost every Democrat insisting that the border was closed. So that was a very interesting moment for me. I come from a unique perspective, a born and raised Chicagoan. I say leaders like Pritzker and the mayor of Chicago have destroyed that city. So much has gone wrong there, and they're having a really hard time recruiting top talent to the companies there, so much so that they've had to, a lot of the big companies flee. He was wrong on the murder rate in that interview. He still paints a picture of a lovely lakefront in Chicago with no crime and perfectly pleasant here. He's out of touch, and perhaps one of the most notable points in that interview was when he said, "We want the bad guys off the streets." He wasn't talking about criminals. He was talking about our ICE agents. I mean, that rhetoric has to stop.
Yeah, Greg?
Remember Jerry Mathers as the beaver? He looks like he ate him. You know, Bret ate his lunch when you watch that, but it's okay for him because he had two beforehand anyway. But you heard him say this. He said these two words over and over again about Trump. He could have. Sure. So basically, what he's admitting is that what Trump did was effective. Was effective, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good enough because it's never about the result for him or for most Democrats. It's about the process. The process has to be ongoing and it has to be ever going. A gravy train of conferences and conversations and press events and dinners, but you never get to the action, because then that's when the gravy train runs out. This is why homelessness rises as the budget for homelessness rises. Same thing with fighting drugs or illegals. It never gets addressed. You just keep having a conversation. Trump aligns perfectly with the American voter. We're kind of done with conversations. And if you look at it, this is what I think scares Democrats the most. If you look at what he did with the border, it showed you how easy it was. How do you think that's not possible with homelessness or with crime or any other kind of practical problem? Not imaginary, but real. The Dems are terrified that Trump is exposing to America everything that the Dems have told us must be accepted. These things are just the way life is, and they just get the money. Yeah. But he's just saying, no, I can fix this, and I can fix this, and I can fix this, and he's fixing them.
Yeah, he made it look easy, and now they look stupid. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.